racecourse has lured the most accomplished race car drivers in the world from many different racing disciplines. Beginning in 1926, 3 generations of Unsers competed at Pikes Peak. They won the race overall an astounding 38 times, all while taking home 9 Indy 500 championships.
Rod Millen has a time of 10:05.80.
You know, back in the 80s, in the Group B era of rally cars, with hill climbing around the world mostly being pavement, Pikes Peak was a unique race that had this long run, 12.42 miles, that was all dirt. You had all the European manufacturers coming over here, Peugeot, Audi, Volkswagen, everyone coming to challenge this mountain. Peugeot breaking a record that had set for about 8 years or more in 1987-89, and then my father beating that record in 1994 and holding that for 13 some years. Now the road has transitioned from full dirt to pavement. We were the first ones to win last year with an all-paved course, and now you're seeing the Europeans come back over here. So it's exciting for the race, for the competition, and definitely everyone has raised their bar this year.
Peugeot has a fantastic history on Pikes Peak. 1988 with Ari Vatanen and in 1989 with Robbie Unser. The climb dance video that was filmed. Everyone that you talk to that knows the history and the lore of motorsport knows about the climb dance video that they filmed here on Pikes Peak. So in 2013, when they wanted to come back and say, well, we had the 405 back then, now we're going to bring the 208 and show what we can do, it's really exciting for us to have them back.
Peugeot is back in Pikes Peak because we were looking for a program who was a mix of our history, of our victories, and our future. The future is the 208, and the mix of the two. When we think about the program, it was just obvious to come back in Pikes Peak with the 208 to try to win again that fabulous race.
For sure, Pikes Peak is a mythic race, and it's a long time. I'm thinking, why not one day? It's something special, something different. I have still the video from Ari Vatanen and Peugeot in the mind, so I said, okay, if we come here with a real manufacturer, it's I think a good plan and a nice target. So for that, I decided to come.
In 1981 was my first attempt at Pikes Peak. You know, that was the start of a family tradition.
You know, I was aware growing up in New Zealand of my father's activities in motorsports. You know, he would race in New Zealand once a year. He was doing the international circuit, and then he always talked about Pikes Peak.
Rhys Millen grew up in a small New Zealand town, and from a young age showed a love of competitive racing. He followed in his father Rod's legendary footsteps, and it wasn't long before they traveled together to Colorado, so Rhys could learn about the legendary peak.
1989 was my first opportunity to kind of go up to Pikes Peak. You know, probably unbeknownst to me, my father was already strategically planning for me to gain experience. You know, I remember distinctively him pre-running the course, which you're allowed to do in a regular rental car, sitting in the passenger seat and him defining and breaking down the course and giving me eye-line cues on trees, on rocks, on anything to look at. It really
so unique to any other form of motorsport that I've done around the world. And the setting, the environment, the challenge of the course, the thinking out of the box that you have to apply, it just draws you in, and we come back every year.
The Millen family have been great supporters of Pikes Peak for many, many years. If we were to have a Mount Rushmore of Pikes Peak, Rod Millen's face would be right there in the middle of it. To have his son Rhys take such an interest in our race and continue to come back and finally get the opportunity to reclaim the title and put the Millen Mountain back where it belongs was really exciting to see for him in 2012.
I am very, very proud of what Rhys has been able to do. You know, he's been here, I think, more than I have now. So, you know, to watch him set the overall record and you know, put the Millen name back up on the trophy was a very special day for me.
We've made this a trek to Colorado here once a year here for many, many years. We've stayed in the same place and hung out there, and it's been just a piece of our lives. And to see it passed on, I think it's fabulous.
You know, my father kind of set the asterisk of the fastest time overall on a full dirt course before the progression changed to pave. Now, last year, we were the first to set the fastest time on an all-pave course, but there is no compromise anymore. It is a full, effectively, road race setup. The cars are now 1.5 inches, 2 inches off the ground, scraping everywhere, full slick tires, super soft compound, and completely restructuring what the car's design is to attack this mountain.
It's very different today than it was when we were here 25, 24 years ago. Obviously, the racetrack is now tarmac, not dirt. That right there changes very much both the car and who is trying to drive. So today, there is a lot more interest from people that would have never dreamed of driving at Pikes Peak. Back then, you almost had to be a little bit not right to try to come here. Or, you know, Walter Roll. I mean, you know, it was that kind of place. It was a challenge. It still is a challenge, but in a different way. It's a challenge now more in mainstream racing, asphalt. You know, you have a different thinking altogether today to go fast at Pikes Peak than 25 years ago.
My favorite part about this mountain is just the challenge overall. You can come here completely prepared and you can get thrown a curveball. The mountain, the weather conditions, the changing atmospheric conditions and the changing road temperatures, they have an effect on the driver, they have an effect on the car, and every year it draws you back.
Yeah, I decided to take Daniel because I'm used to remember the roads with notes, like I've done always in the rallies, and so for me it was more natural to drive here with notes and try to remember the notes. So I work with him like always. Take the note, he give me the notes, and now I try just to remember per heart the notes.
I was having a little chat to Sebastian earlier, and you know, there's not much really. You can tell that guy is incredibly experienced, incredibly talented, and he's been running up and down this road, learning the road as much as he can. He told me he'd been on a simulator as well. So, you know, he's just about 90% up to speed already. We talked about a couple of the parts on the mountain that repeat themselves, and maybe a tip or two that I gave him that might help. Just remembering those sections as an indicator that might help you. He's a competitor, but he's also a fellow Red Bull teammate.
Today we are in Colorado Springs on the Speedway, and it's our base to prepare the car, the 208 T16 Pikes Peak, for at least the very first test tomorrow morning in the mountain. This 208 T16 Pikes Peak is a very specific car. It's a unique model. It's done specifically for Pikes Peak, but with components already existing in our range, in our Peugeot Sport range. All the suspension, the steering, the brakes are coming from the 908 from Le Mans. The engine was an engine we developed for an older Le Mans program. All the aerodynamic, all the dynamic of the car has been designed through our knowledge we have got from the 908 program. Then it's just compilation, a compound of all our knowledge on our existing components to do in only 4 months a very specific car and hopefully a very performant car for that race. At the beginning of the project, strictly speaking, we haven't thought about the driver. But when we think after some weeks about the project, it was very obvious at the end that for an exceptional project, for an exceptional challenge, an exceptional car, the only exceptional driver as Sébastien Loeb was possible, and the choice was just obvious.
We're very excited to welcome Sebastian Loeb to Pikes Peak for the first time. We love having him here. He's been fantastic. To have one of the greatest, and in my opinion, the single greatest driver on the planet right now, with 9 consecutive World Rally Championship titles and 55 starts on a tarmac course and 53 wins, proves that when it comes to asphalt, the man knows what he's doing. Now that we've got a fully paved course, this is the perfect place for Sebastian Loeb to show off his skills.
Straight, you can say Sebastian Loeb is one of the best drivers in the world. You cannot achieve all this title in a rally without to be the #1 driver, plus his experience on track, who is very important, you know, like in Le Mans, where he was also a good driver. So I think he's a complete driver. It's no doubt about, you know, what he can do here, plus all the tests that you made before here. I think already for the first year, he has the experience that people are doing like for 10 years. So talent plus experience, it's no doubt he's the best here already on the mountain.
Sebastian Loeb, I haven't worked with him before. Only a couple of test sessions on 908 in 2010. But I have been impressed, not by his talent, because there was no doubt at all about his talent as a driver, but by his implication in the project. He's pushing everybody very hard. He's asking questions on if something happened, if so on, how to put more downforce, how to put more steering. He is very involved in the project, and it's just impressive how he wants to manage all the details on the global project.
You know, what an amazing opportunity to have the level of Peugeot coming to Pikes Peak again since 1989, I believe it was, and to have arguably the best driver in the world behind the helm. An amazing combination, and they're proving their speed straight out of the box. Shattering the times on the lower section, which we expected, and it's just going to be an incredible battle. Anything can happen on race day. It did last year. We hope they have the best run, and we're going to clean our act up a little and try to be on their pace. For this year, we've stepped back up into the unlimited division, effectively no rules, bring what you can. We're running the new Hyundai Genesis powered car. It's a 4.1-litre Hyundai V6 engine, turbocharged, making just shy of 900 horsepower. The chassis is all new. This is actually only my second day of driving the car in aggression, still getting used to the car. We're really not having a clean run. We're already proving that the recipe is right. I just need more time, and we need the car to function without having any mechanical issues. So, all in all, over last year's time, we're running about 2 seconds a mile quicker. But I know there was another 2 seconds a mile if the car was running 100%. And effectively, with the pace that Sebastian and the Peugeot is putting on, we need to have that. I've driven here enough that I know the road, I respect the road, and I know what the road's going to do in the mornings in these conditions. For me this year, it's turning an all-new car to the road, and that's taking us a little bit of time.
I feel confident in the car. I cannot go much faster, even next week or in the race. I know I'm quite on the limit a bit everywhere. For the rest, yeah, we have to prepare it well, try to be really ready for the race. Today we are testing here again in Pikes Peak. What is important is that it's the qualifying. Today the goal is for sure to try to do the best time, to be able to choose the best position on the road, and the goal of the weekend is to try to win the race and to try to beat the record. So we are here for that.
Today's the official first practice for the week. Unusual in the fact that we're actually heading straight into qualifying. Typically for the unlimited division, they'll strategize it to whereas we run the middle section, top section, and then on the final day is qualifying. Allows the teams to kind of tune and tweak the cars. We're heading straight into it. I think we're going to do pretty good.
first run up the mountain, we damaged the engine. So car's in the trailer, I'm out of my suit, and we're going to do an engine swap. A little disappointing, the car felt really, really good. We're only second outside of being second overall, but we've got a little bit of work ahead of ourselves right now. You know, the challenge isn't just race day itself, it's the week leading up to it. Working on average around 3 to maybe 4 hours sleep a night. But that's racing, and if it was easy, everyone would do it.
I pushed hard in the morning, the feeling was good. Now we just try a little bit another setup if we have another opportunity to climb the hill, to try to be a bit more confident, because when you are on the limit, 200 km/h in some fast corners, it's important that the rear doesn't snap. So we are working a bit on that.
Pikes Peak is very specific. It's a very difficult race because we have days on days of training, of practices, but you have only one shot for the race. A 9-minute, more or less, shot. And anything may happen, and one small thing can make your race a disaster, even if your practices during weeks have been good. Everything is, you play everything on one shot.
In a rally, you don't need to meet every best time, but because you have a lot of stages like this, and you do this during 3 days. Here, you know, the road can be a bit similar, but the approach of the race is different. All the work of the team, all the preparation will be played in one run. So for sure, when you are, I think, when I will be on the start of Sunday of the race, it will be quite some pressure to say, okay, if I make a mistake, I destroy everything. So, but I will try to do it well.
Racers never really get a full run on the course before race day. We have to split the course into 3 sections during our practice and qualifying days so that we can make sure that everybody gets familiarized with the course in sections. So we have them learn the bottom section from start line to Glen Cove, and then we have them learn Glen Cove up to just below the W's, and then we have them go through the W's to the summit so they can familiarize themselves with the highly technical aspects of our course. And then they all have to put that together on race day for one great run to see what they can do against this mountain.
The biggest challenge about this race is the environment, the setting of the course. It's not a race course that you can go to every weekend. It's not one corner 100 times. It's a couple of 100 corners one time. You've got one shot each year to get it right. Small amount of practice leading up to it, but effectively that's it. So it's a big challenge for engineers, teams, and for drivers. Yesterday we had to sit out with a little bug in the engine, and for precaution reasons I chose to change it. Yesterday's section was only a couple of miles long, and it's basically a slingshot from corner to corner, so not anything that you really need to test the handling of the car or the balance of the car. We ran the car down at Pikes Peak International Raceway. As a function test, everything worked really, really good. Actually, the new engine definitely feels stronger. So we're happy with the performance of it yesterday, and we're good to run this morning, last day of practice.
Today's morning test session on the upper course is the final opportunity for Reese and his team to hone the setup and calibration of the newly replaced engine. The goal, quite simply, is to gain more speed and allow Reese to defend his title. Within minutes of the start of the test, the team sees large gains in speed and performance. The engine swap is proving to be the right choice, and valuable data are being recorded as race pilots through the treacherous corners. His times on the course are second only to Loeb. Sebastian, meanwhile, continues to demonstrate both his experience as a driver and the absolute pinnacle performance being extracted from his Peugeot. He's already found his rhythm and learned what the car can manage. Now, he begins to dance on the edge and look for the razor-thin margin of record speed. As the final test session draws to a close, it's clear that the two Red Bull teammates have set themselves apart from the pack. All that remains now is the race itself.
Everything is okay for this last test before the race. The target was to prepare the tires for Sunday, and we prepared 2 sets of tires, and I think we are okay. And Seb did a third run just to push a bit and to see how it was, and he's quite happy with the car.
It's good. Feeling with the car was again very good today. So we have tested all the track. The feeling was good everywhere. So just hope that on Sunday we can put everything together and to make a good run.
Over the years, we've had multiple drivers come in, and I'm partial. Rally drivers are the best drivers in the world, I think. I mean, not taking anything away from any other driver, but they're very good. But Pikes Peak, also, you have to come in and respect the mountain. We've had multiple rally drivers come in, and it bites them somehow or another. I have seen Sebastian up here, you know, learning the road, and that's very good. So I respect him for that.
I saw some video before, but the road is nice. It's quite wide, very fast, with also some hairpin and twisty sections. So you have a bit of everything. Just it's quite deep on the side in some place, so it's better to stay on the road. But the first impression is good. The road is nice.
You take any race course setting around the world and you've got safety nets, safety barriers, tire walls, foam walls. Pretty much everything is catered to the safety of the driver and the vehicle. Come to Pikes Peak, none of that exists. There are a few guardrails that have been added in the last couple of years, but there's drops here that are, gosh, 1,000+ feet, and we've witnessed cars go off them, and luckily drivers have survived in unique locations. It's an environment that demands respect, and even the best in the world come here and can make mistakes.
When you drive over there, it's impressive, huh?
The crest,
amazing.
over the top of the crest.
When you see, you just see the sky and that. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to describe, but for sure it's a lot of horsepower and a lot of downforce, so it's a lot of grip, a lot of speed in the corner, a lot of acceleration, big braking, so sensation is in the car is like you can have on a racing track, but on the side of the road it's not like a racing track, so it gives a bit more adrenaline. Some pace you arrive at more than 200 km/h, and you just see the sky next to the road. You don't see how deep it is, so the feeling is a bit strange sometimes, but it's really something you cannot feel anywhere else, I think.
Racing this event, one run once a year, is kind of like the most intense lap of qualifying in the most intense environment. You can't give up a tenth of a second. You've got to push braking, carry corner speed, and accelerate out of those corners as hard and as fast as you can. But taking in mind that as you climb up the mountain, tire temperatures are going to change, air temperatures are going to change and affect the car's performance, and also ground temperatures are going to change and affect your braking. There's corners that people trim and cut and bring rocks back onto the road, Now that we're running full slick tires, the speeds that we're running, the danger is so much higher, and it only takes one slight mistake to put you off course.
One of the challenging things about this race is the unpredictable weather. All week long, we've had really great qualifying times because we've had dry surfaces to work with. On race day, that could change. We've got rain that could be in the forecast, so the competitors have to be ready to handle what Pikes Peak throws at them. You've got to beat the mountain first before you beat any other competitors.
For sure, we are not really prepared for the rain. And a car like this, a road like that on the rain will not be so fun. Hopefully, we come through before the rain.
Here we are in Pikes Peak. We woke up at 1 a.m. We came very early because it's already crowded. We're on the start line of Pikes Peak. The car is ready. Nice time to go. The weather is still a big question mark, but we have to go and to do our best. Everything now is in the hands of Seb, and we are sure that he will do the best possible job.
Yeah, the sky is not 100% clear, but not too bad. We still have dry conditions for the race. For the rest, we have to wait our time and go.
You know, qualifying was okay for us, not what we expected, but it was still good enough for third. We've done a good shakedown. We had a great run on the top of the mountain, placing second fastest time overall, and we're ready for race day.
Approaches Glen Cove, his split times reveal that he's on pace to match or break his current world record. Two-wheel-drive Hyundai Genesis-powered race car delicately weaves its way up the mountain. Reese must carefully and precisely apply power to the car at just the right moment, or he risks sliding out of control and off the mountain. Reese Millen powers his Hyundai Genesis Unlimited car past the finish line and shaves an incredible 45 seconds off his previous world record run. Time of 9 minutes, 12 seconds. Reese Millen now tops the leaderboard of the 2013 Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. Romain Dumas has suffered a gut-wrenching mechanical failure at the start line. In the exhibition power sports class, Carlin Dunn has pushed his motorcycle into first place in class. There are 7 car classes and 10 motorcycle classes total, but all eyes turn to Sebastian Loeb as he prepares to race.
The much-anticipated moment is about to take place here in the 91st running of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. There it is, the great Sebastian Loeb. The car has been fired up. .42 miles, 156 turns, and a chance to put himself where no one has gone before. Run the mountain in 8 minutes.
Sebastian Loeb rockets off the start line. Incredibly, this will be the first time he's ever run the entire Pikes Peak racecourse in one pass. Thousands of race fans cheer him on as he makes his way up the mountain.
Sebastian Loeb, only a rookie on this mountain. A lot of people have forgotten that. Looked fantastic.
As Loeb blazes past the first checkpoint, he's already gained 8 seconds on Reese. The Peugeot 208 T16 race car is performing flawlessly, and Sebastian has yet to make a single mistake.
Everybody has been keeping their eyes on, coming through the Glen Cove area, absolutely flying through turns here.
Seb flies past Glen Cove and chips away another 10 seconds off the fastest pace of the day. The race fans can't believe how fast he's moving. He heads heads towards the upper half of the mountain and must remain focused. One mistake could not only end his chances of a Pikes Peak championship, but it could have fatal consequences.
Just below us, the fans are standing, everybody with a camera. I'm so amped up, I may not finish this race.
Devil's Playground marks the final checkpoint before the finish, and Loeb has shown no signs of slowing down. He's outpaced every previous record attempt to this point by more than 30 seconds. His time of 8 minutes and 13 seconds is incredibly more than a minute and a half faster than the 2012 record and 48.3 seconds faster than teammate Reese Millen's run. Loeb has gone beyond a good showing. He has shattered all previous times and altered the history of American automotive racing forever.
It was quite a big pressure at the start because I know the job that all the team has done to create this car and to be here. I had a really good feeling with the car since the test, so I started to push very hard from the start to the end, and the time is great satisfaction. I think we've done really a good job, the team and me, and the time is really good, so it will be difficult to beat, I think.
Expectations that we set coming to this week's event, we actually exceeded by probably 10 seconds on the total run of today. And the car was perfect. The crew gave me the car that I needed on the day to put it in second position.